So, good evening, my cheeky troublemakers. This is the Candid Show brought here by Shriram Krishna me as my co-host today. So, today we are here today to kind of like talk about this. I guess this video or this thing became popular kind of like about 2 or 3 months back. So, today we are going to be talking about this video or kind of like this analog horror, which is kind of called as Mandela Catalogue.
Okay.
So I don't know, like probably most of us would not even heard of this thing. I think this became very popular like around 2 months back when the creator posted like a series of videos online, and it was not like a stream of videos as well. He structured the videos such that it basically becomes like a TV show wherein you get a new episode every week, and each of these
on the chronological order.
Yeah, and there is no order as well. He just randomly puts out the videos, and it is up to you as a kind of like as a viewer to figure out the story behind
what
it.
The order is.
So what this video is, or what this kind of like the series of this thing is, this kind of comes under the category of analog horror. So what does it mean? So analog horror basically means that you as a viewer are the protagonist of the story. That is, you are left with a series of clues, with a bunch of evidences, with a bunch of videos, with a bunch of photos, and it is up to you as a viewer to figure out what the story is, and that is pretty much what analog horror means. So we've had a lot of these types of kind of like what do you mean, like these genres of horror in the past. There was something called as Walton Files. There is something called as Monument Mythos, and we would be probably talking about more in the future, I guess. Yeah. But to just give you a reference, that is what analog horror means. That is, you figure out the stuff. So in this particular analog horror, we follow a story, or probably, and the events obviously set in this world are fictional, by the way, and none of this is real.
Yeah.
And even though the creator actually didn't make any kind of specific statement as to this being fiction, most of the people apparently assumed that this is actually real and stuff like this is actually happening. So all of this is fiction, by the way. So the story, I guess the synopsis of all the 5 videos which I have understood so far is that we are set, or the video shows a world, or I guess an alternate future or an alternate earth, where basically the devil has taken over the world. That, in the sense that devil has kind of like basically, or I guess Satanism has conquered the world. It has convinced the masses to follow these religions, or I guess the entire idea of religion has been basically created by the devil, and we are constantly being mind washed by the devil. And this kind of like, at least one part of the story I think follows this aspect. And there's another aspect also going around where there is this secret guy who appears on televisions, and the show also makes kind of like the statement where it says that this XYZ person can actually control televisions and radios, etc., and he comes via the TV. He kind of haunts you. He gives you these psychological disorders or something. So as you can see, none of what I'm saying actually makes sense, because the plot line as a whole, or I guess the way they structure it, makes it seem as if it is very confusing to a person who is seeing it initially. But why I wanted to talk about this thing in particular is because the kind of horror they portray basically. Because I think we both have seen tons and tons of horror movies, and even though we do not sleep at night after watching them, we still are very big fans of horror as a whole, because the atmosphere which they set up, the fear which they give you, all of these things really make you compelled to watch something. Obviously, we do get scared at the end of the day, but again, we do seek that fear in us. I think that's what makes us watch more and more.
Yeah.
But this sort of analog horror is not something which you'd imagine, right? It is not something which
it's not, so basically it's not like any other typical horror movie. So like most of the movies kind of portray these, there is a ghost in this house, it is haunted. So like a group is going to investigate, and they kind of get trapped, and everyone gets killed at the end. So this is the only standard, the template of every horror movie we have come across.
Pretty
so like
much.
they will go to the place and investigate, and they will die.
That's
so
it.
Like that is the common
very
template of
trope, which
stereotypical
horror
template they carry. So but this Mandela Catalogue is something that stands out of all the horror content, and it starts off like in 70s or 80s, so they don't mention the date.
I suppose you would assume it's around the 70s or 80s,
and during the first 5 videos, so like including volume 1, exhibition and other stuff, so like that takes place in 1970s or 80s something. So like they show this TV, TV news and
Yep.
something, and they show that some characters are getting haunted by this unknown person, and the concept that that made me like this show is where the alien or the thing that is present in the house or something like that, he kills you and takes your your form, so like
Yep.
it
Like a doppelganger.
yeah, like it. So that is the different type of killing kind of a method.
Yeah, I guess you would even it is difficult to understand even if you watch it multiple times, because I have seen it a lot of times. I've seen a lot of breakdown videos, but at least what I am able to gather from this is that the world which is set up here consists of some sort of creatures called as alternates, and there are different classes of alternates as well. So one of the alternates,
They're like biologically,
yeah, so one type is something which you can easily find out. Yes,
impossible
so
structure.
impossibly biological features are like long heads, very long legs, or very long hands, or something like that. So those are, and there are multiple classes of that as well, wherein the second class is something which looks identical as you.
yeah.
So, and there is another third class, blah blah blah, not going too much into the depth, because I guess as a person you have to actually watch it to kind of feel the essence of it. Even the very first video I saw, there is this video called Overthrown, right? And Overthrown is kind of like the very first video which kind of sets up the scenario for you, because
It gives the description
Yes.
about what is going to happen or what is the
pretty much,
situation,
because
or
obviously
it sets up the basis of this entire
True.
world they are creating.
yeah, because and a lot of things which I've noticed in that first video you see is because the very first thing we see is that we see this angel Gabriel, basically. I read some of the Bible verses which were associated with this, and apparently Gabriel is the one who comes to Mother Mary and basically tells her that the Son of God is going to be born and Christ is going to be born. That's kind of like the mini short storyline of what actually happens in the story. So the very first thing which people kind of found out was that the alien was actually not Gabriel at all. It was actually some very mystical alien, and we can also see that the face is basically blurred out, right?
Yeah.
And so this clearly kind of leads you to an assumption that it is definitely not Gabriel or not an angel, it is something different. So that's kind of like the first quick thing which you point out immediately as you see it. And also as you go on, there are a lot of references to the Bible. And one very big important reference which I have noticed is, the screen actually glows back in that scene. When you switch on the captions to the scene, it basically tells you a bunch of words. Basically, kind of like a story is something. I don't know what that means, but I went and checked it out on Google. So the article or the paragraph which I actually told was belonging to a book called Dante's Inferno. So for people who don't know what Dante's Inferno is, it basically is a guy called Dante, etc., etc. He lived during the Roman times, and he wrote this book called, basically 3-part book, which tells how the hell looks like. Basically the 9 layers of hell. That's what Dante's Inferno was about. So the book consists of 3 parts. So the Inferno, Purgatory and Heaven. So it basically tells the journey of how Dante made his way through hell, then through Purgatory, and then eventually reached heaven to see God. So that's kind of like the story, how it follows.
Add the reference, yeah.
Yes. So one of the references which put forward is the time when Dante actually meets Devil himself. So when he actually told those lines to Devil, that's the same dialogue which we see him. So as you can see, there's like a lot of elements, a lot of references to the Bible as a whole. And obviously some of it is, I don't understand most of it, because again, I don't know much of what Christianity stands for, much of it is lineage. So it's kind of hard to understand as an outsider, but this is what I was able to gather. To summarize, I guess this is what happened in the first episode. Pretty much, or in the sense that Devil has convinced the people, has fooled the people to accepting, to kind of believing himself that he is God. Because obviously we do see alternates, the idea of alternates, right? They can shapeshift into anybody. So we can see that Devil has the ability to shapeshift, and Devil himself has kind of like taken control of the entire world, and we are worshipping the wrong God.
Different concept that we see, and it is also, the one thing I saw in this video is that when he recommended to watch this video, I was typically like usual times, I was expecting for some kind of a jump scare.
Yep.
But that didn't happen, and I was very disappointed in the first 2 or 3 videos. Then I got to know what the template they are handling or what the situation is going on, and I understood the world they are setting and the world that this happens. So like it's not to scare you. It's to explain you like the presence of something like the alternate, and also the the found footage part of this video is something that it was very scary to watch it during night, and also both the volumes, like so like first volume and second volume, it was excellent, and this stands out as a different type of horror. So like it's more its aim is not to directly make you
there aren't any
fear,
explicit
but
scenes to scare you,
if you think about whether this happens in your real life, if you see someone identical to you, you would get scared and directly you would feel terrified.
Exactly. So I suppose the standout quality in this is that
they leave it to you, the audience, to judge whether.
So it's up to you. You are you judge.
What would you do in such situation?
Probably.
So like. After watching these videos, I kind of shut all my doors, and someone started knocking my door in the, like about 8 or 9.
You always have this paranoia, right? Immediately you sense a paranoia wherein like
you set up your environment such that you are really in this story and you're going to get killed. So like that is what the power of these kind of horror types. They give everything to you, and they give all the emotions and they set the atmosphere and the fear inside you, but there is no jump scare. But and also mostly general people, like if a layman goes and sees this video, right, so like he would criticize it as there is no jump scare. Probably. Or there is no element to scare me. So like what are you what is there in this video? He would try to dig upon, and they won't be interested in these kind of things, but they don't understand this is a different type of horror. And this is the one people have to watch only during night, I suppose.
It is recommended to watch in night, like, because obviously if you watch it in the day, it's absolutely pointless. It takes out all the fun, because the paranoia only reaches you when you're at night. And highly recommend watching it to the people who are really enthusiastic about horror, who have this different, who want to experience horror kind of in a different connotation, in a different angle. And I think this is one of those videos which completely blew me away. And obviously I think we'll be doing more of this kind of videos in the future, I suppose.
Yeah,
more
we'll
of
give
these
the
things.
link in the description. You can go and check it
we'll link to the guy. I guess his name is Alex Kister, right?
Alex Kister or
something, I don't know the name again. Anyway, we'll link it down in the description below. And such a cool guy, and he actually came up with it. Like he used, like, the voice actors were his own mother or something, I heard. Like one of the
different setup. So like each and every video he shows different places or found footage or police kind of. He has done so many background work, and there is a lot of efforts in this, and all these animations and these 70s and 80s kind of tapes he kind of plays, and all the editing. I think editing.
That the editing was part for him. Probably. But imagine, obviously he didn't have any budget to this. He just did it just like kind of like as a fun.
It's like we can also do, but the concept he.
The kind of the storyline which you insert makes so much sense, right? Like it kind of puts so much things into perspective. The idea of alternates, the idea of devils, etc., etc. So again, the setup was very good, and I highly recommend everybody watching this kind of like. And if you did watch this, and if you're listening to this after watching, please tell what you thought about any theories, what you might have, because again, and obviously
we would have missed out on so many
lot
details,
of things. Yes,
and if you know anything, you can let us.
Yes, definitely, probably. So I guess that was the end of this discussion. We covered most of the things. Again, we cannot go into extreme depth and talk about every single video again, because that would become kind of like a breakdown video.
Spoiler kind of thing.
We already spoiled a lot of things, but still. But again, nobody would listen to so much time, right? Like it's like we gave you general rundown.
Just go to the video and watch it in your own order. So like.
Whatever you prefer, right? Because like I guess we leave it to you to figure out, join the pieces however you want. I think
whatever video you watch first doesn't matter. So like the atmosphere, the setup is new in each and every episode, but the base is same. So like it is about the alternates taking over the world. So like just go to the video. We'll give it down in the description, and you can go and check it out.
So the usual deal again, as you told, any opinions regarding this idea, regarding this video as a whole, please drop in the YouTube comment section down below.
And you guys would have probably noticed the difference in this video. Two microphones.
We somehow figured out the magic behind figuring out two mics, so we don't need to squeeze together at the center of the sofa and struggle.
Announcement video. And back we are here.
And we did some sort of voodoo magic and figured it out for the first time, but again later we dropped the concept, but now somehow we figured this idea. So that's a new change which we brought now. And apart from that,
square thingy.
Yeah, no, let's move. Let's wait till this quiet. Before that, for the Spotify, please follow us on Spotify. Nobody actually listens to Spotify, I think. And I think part of the reason is that we left Instagram, so I guess none of our Instagram followers actually know we exist on Spotify. So regardless, we do exist on Spotify. If anybody does listen to it, please follow it there.
Yeah,
and
so
listen
we
to
exist
us.
on, I forgot its name, bro. It's Clubhouse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a very lame attempt at humor, but let's excuse him. So that was Clubhouse, and it's obviously dead. So RIP Clubhouse. And now let me do the face thingy here. We link to the last video which we did probably, and that's pretty much it, I suppose. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you.